Hello and welcome to my easel. Today I'm going to be doing a 6 by 8 inch oil on panel. I have the panel pre-toned with burnt sienna, and the reference I'm going to be using is this farmstead picture I took from Minnesota. If you want the high resolution reference photos used for this painting as well as the full length instructional video for this, check below the video my YouTube memberships. This is part of the gold tier. I'll have the oil paint colors pop up on the screen here. These are pre-mixed with some liquid impasto and a little bit of walnut oil for some of the colors just to loosen them up. I'm going to start with the phthalo blue and mix it with cad red. That's going to give me a nice black. So I always like to mix a black to get started. Going to take some white, mix that with some of the red. It has a little bit of that black, which is fine. I'm going to take some cad yellow, mix that with the cad yellow deep, and add some white as well. Just a pinch. Without cleaning my palette knife, I'm going to grab some orange, let some of that mix into the orange. Before I get too far, I'm also going to be using the Fox Squirrel by Dynasty's, the 1/2 inch angled flat brush, as well as the Dagger Striper brush. I'll have all the materials listed below the video as well. I'm going to take a bit of this red and mix it in with this orange. And actually, I think I'm going to use this flat brush to begin. So there's not much paint on the bristles itself. I just want to get an idea of composition. So you can see it's very light. Good horizon line to go across. And I'm going to sketch this out. And once I feel like I have most things in place the way I want, I'll begin with the color. I want to have enough on there so I can see what I'm doing. You can see there's the barn starting to pop up. That's about all I need. So this is just enough for me to see what's going on. I kind of want some composition to the sky, so some clouds. So just give me that idea here, just to rough in some of the clouds. Again, just the idea, not anything in particular. I'm going to pick up, this is what I would say sort of a muted pink. And if I just grab a little bit of the black, I can dampen that down a bit. And so of course it has the phthalo blue. And that'll give it maybe more of a violet feel. I think that's a nice color for some of these shadows high up in the sky. So I'm going to start with that. If I start adding the thicker paint, it's going to kind of lock me into what I have. If I keep it thin and scrub some of this color on in the beginning, it'll allow me to add paint over the top without too much consequence. I'm going to go right in to the black. I'm going to look for areas where I think, you know what, I think that's a little too blue. So if I add some red to that, it's going to warm it up. I'm going to add some black down low in the foreground. So I'm going to try and identify some of the darkest areas of the painting, and that's what I want to go for next. So now this is going to kind of help me see everything I have here as far as value, contrast, and it's going to help me judge the rest of the process as I go along. So I like to get those darks established. I like to get the whites established and then just take it from there. So these buildings, the composition that I've got established here, I'll maintain it as best as I can, but I'm not worried about it because I didn't spend much time on it. It's just an idea of buildings and a farm being there. It's not exact. I just want to know where things should be, and then I can make adjustments as I go. So that's kind of the goal. Now this is a nice dark gray, warm gray. Again, I'm keeping it thin because I want to be able to layer over the top. So that's why I'm not worried about anything, because I'll be able to paint over the top of this with ease. Now before I go any further, while my brush has got a lot of this color, I'm going to take this yellow, mix it with some of this color, a little bit of a brighter yellow, and I want to create a glow in the yard here from the sun. So just to get that started, take a little bit of the blue, mix it with the white, and then grab a touch of magenta. A little bit more. I'm going to break apart some of the space between the clouds with this color. See how that goes. Alright. At this point, the panel's mostly covered, so I'm going to set that brush down, and I'm going to switch to my dagger brush. So this for me is just orange and white. And I want to brighten up the highlights in the clouds right around the sun. And again, just kind of fade that away as I get higher up. I got this blue down below that I kind of used high up in the sky. And I think that would be a good color to start the buildings with. So they're kind of backlit. It's a little bit too bright, but just a gray to start would be probably good enough. And I want to show some glow, the light coming over the top of this barn. So I'm going to take that yellow I mixed, and even this color I used high up in the sky, just to brighten it up a bit more in front of it. Lay on some thicker paint there right above the barn. And now I'm going to pick up this dark black, but I'm going to add red to it. Now it'll blend in with the sky, but I'll just keep working at it. And work at covering and darkening what I lay down. So as it blends into it, I don't have to be finished with it the first pass. I'll add more over the top. And this is why I keep it thin, because it will blend no matter what. Wiping off the brush, just continue grabbing this nice warm orange. And again, every time I do this and mix it into the sky, it's going to start to remove that warmth to it. And so that's why I keep picking up the orange and keep maintaining the warmth, because I can see it start to cool down as it mixes with everything else. And as we get higher in the sky, pick up the cad red. And that cad red's gonna feel like it's darkening the mixture, which probably will, but that's good for transitioning to these darker tones. Kind of seeing where this takes me. That's better. So when it comes to the detail on these buildings, the reason I like using things like the liquid and pastel keeps things, the paint consistency kind of stays, I want to say sticky. And so I'm not going to worry about things like the doors, the garage doors, the lights, things like that, because I'll be able to paint over the top of it because the paint has got that nice sticky consistency to it. Good for layering wet over wet. And now in my reference, I've got a white barn, but I'd rather have that be a red barn. A little bit of that color to that middle horizon just to separate that more. So I like this overall. But we need to bring some life to these structures. So let's pick a lighter color, add some white to that, kind of a blue-gray. Add this garage door. So I'll just continue to go through, carefully add some detail to these buildings. Still trying to keep things lighter as I get closer to the sun, just to maintain that light. Alright, so overall, I think it's starting to come together, and I think I'm going to just move to some of the foreground area, and add some highlights into that. Oh, some of the yellow. Mix some of that gray. Start to get some thicker paint here. So I think the next stage of this just be getting some thicker paint on the foreground and bounce through the foreground, start to add that detail, just finer marks, using just the pointed edge of this brush more and more as I go. In fact, I could probably start sneaking some of this color up. It's a good time, and it's also the time when I start to find myself bouncing around more. And so that's definitely something that I think I can do as I have this color is start to use this color to darken some of these areas up here. And then in the same way, I think I can work in reverse and actually make some of that grass in front here lighter. Yep. When I get this painting as a whole, covered and looking the way it does, looking good, now is when I like to go back in and criticize and critique what I have and make adjustments so I can go back into the sky. Because this is all wet paint and I'm using similar colors, I can really make any change I want. I could blend everything out and make it smooth if I wanted to, and sort of redo that sky, redo the way it looks. So there's a lot of room here to make adjustments. And that's kind of what I want to do right now. Yep, and getting rid of some of that bright red, orange. I think that's going to help as well. And it's going to bring more attention to the subject. And that's really what I'd like to see. This is also the point when I like to mix some thicker colors here and really let that remain on the surface and get those thick textures. And that can help really convey the story and the feeling of that morning light. That nice painterly feel. Start thinking about some of these specific textures, what they should be. I mean, the roof of the building. Maybe start thinking about the shingles, the lines. I love it. Overall, it's really taken shape. I think what I could do now is maybe think about some lights. So just add a few additional things to this painting to make it interesting. Let's take some blue, the phthalo blue and white. Okay, now as I add that, it's going to be a light source, so I'm going to take some white, get it a little bit brighter, and I'm going to brighten that garage door close where those lights are. And kind of do the same thing, but an orange light. Grab the white again. Darken the bottom of that red wood. Indication of a fence back there, maybe. And as I work through this area, I think I'll probably lighten up some of these areas. I think are looking too dark in the foreground. I think the amount of darkness I have in some of these areas close to the viewer, I think are correct. They're about the right amount of contrast. They're the right value. But maybe too much of it in some places. And that's that same, what I'm talking about, the foreground detail and texture. That pay attention, not just the driveway, but things around the driveway. And in the same way I cleaned up the buildings. It's a little more relaxed, but I'm sort of doing the same thing with the foreground. So I'm just going back and forth. I just kind of stood back there for a second, just looking at it. This part's difficult. It's difficult to judge when you feel good about a painting as a whole. And I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. How far you should take it, how much you should work on it. I'm curious about certain things, and so I continue to work and poke at it, hoping that I can draw something from that, take something away, learn from it. Just enjoying my time now. Now is I really think at the same time it's difficult to know when to stop, when to feel like you're good, or even why certain things maybe aren't coming together the way you want. It's also a very relaxing stage, so it's difficult, but at the same time, it's relaxing. Maybe what would help is if I break apart a couple things. And I could add a fence right through the area add a fence post right here. So we're going to create some more distraction. Look at that little fence going up the driveway. A little bit of gray. You know, there's kind of a cool little side structure on the edge of this barn. Maybe I could add that. Doorway, window. Yeah. And just brightening up the area where the light will be. So I'm adding some orange, some red. The light source. There you go. little highlight to the ground out in front. As I wrap up the last few details, I hope you enjoyed this painting today. Remember to check out my YouTube memberships down below. I have the bronze and gold palette tiers. The bronze palette, you get all of my reference photos, real-time extended time lapses of my larger paintings with color mixing and commentary. In the gold tier, you're going to get all of these paintings that I do, these 6x8s like I'm painting and working on today, in full length detail. And you'll also get access to the private Discord, the members only Discord, where you can share your work, whether it's these paintings you're following along or perhaps some of your own work. I'm happy to provide feedback, give critique, and I would love to connect with more artists and build a sense of community through art. And so until next time, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you then.